The first time I recall giving serious thought to the dairy barn, I was actually in the Plant and Soil Science building when I was on the second floor and looked across to the dairy barn, which at the time had these large areas of missing shingles. And you could see the wood underneath, and the trim boards around it were a mess. And so I recall making the comment to the gentleman I was with that we've got to do something with the dairy barn or it's going to fall to pieces on us.
So the dairy barn truly is an iconic landmark on the Texas Tech campus. It is in the middle of campus, and it has been a significant part of the history of Texas Tech University.
The dairy barn is one of the buildings on the original 1924 campus plan. The charter for the university was established to be coeducational, both male and female, and one of the areas of emphasis for education was agricultural sciences. So from the very beginning, agriculture, dairy, farming, ranching, that was one of the main reasons the university was established.
And if you go back and think about the history, ag, of course, was one of the founding colleges at Texas Tech. A lot of the people that were there in those early years were involved with the dairy barn, either in a work role, they had a job there. If you go back far enough, there were actually people that brought their own cows and were able to, milk the cows and sell milk through the university.
This is where the cows were milked, over in this area. And then back in this part were stalls, animal stalls.
In the spring of 1926, 6 students brought their cows on campus and housed them in the dairy barn. And through that selling of the milk from the cows, those students were able to pay their college tuition. The dairy manufacturing's department, which was run out of the dairy barn, produced milk, sweet butter, ice cream, and cheese. And so they sold it to different parts of the campus, like the cafeteria, but they also sold it to people in town. And that helped fund student work and scholarships and the department. But this is one of the original bottles, but it's fairly rare. I only know of 2 other people who have one. This is actually a blown up from a picture. This would actually be one of the seals that would be on the lid, so you can kind of see that it's for the milk. And we had our own little truck that ran around. It was the student dairy. This is actually an original wrapper for the sweet butter. So, these are things that are thrown away through everyday use. So it's pretty rare to have some of these, and we're happy to be able to keep some of our early history.
That history, I think, is just really neat and something that we need to preserve. It certainly speaks to the roots of Texas Tech University and kind of the work ethic that goes along with that. I think it symbolizes a lot of what's really neat about the history of Texas Tech.
That building is very sentimental to Texas Tech alum and faculty and even current students going here. And over the different decades, there have been movements to, as it's fallen into disrepair, to maybe destroy it or remove it. And every time there's been a movement to do something about it, there's been a counter movement to stop that.
The alumni and donors from Texas Tech love this university like I have never seen before. And so to maintain some of the original buildings that really represented their success when they were tech students is very important to carry forward the history.
The barn was abandoned in the late 60s, early 70s. I just kept knocking on that door about we need to do something with the dairy barn. And when President Skubanek took over and I moved over as provost, we worked with the college to develop a plan to match funding that would come in for renovations. We came up with the idea of using it as essentially a conference and to some extent an events center. The loft in particular is a really neat area for having events, I think.
When the barn was in operation, this would have been used to store hay and other feed. So this will be the upstairs event space. The dairy barn is a part of the National Registry, and so it is protected, and the design aspects then will have to follow certain criteria.
You know, I actually have a fairly large collection now of photographs that we've gathered of what the dairy barns look like through time, so that we can make sure as we do the renovations that we stay true to the original exterior. The interior, we're going to try to stay as true as possible to what it was like as well. It will be a conference center. I mean, that's the idea, particularly on the first floor. We'd really like it to be a place where students and faculty could meet in a collaborative setting.
The idea of them repurposing it and continuing to use it as a student space and a creative space is really exciting. I mean, I'm an alumnus and I love that building, and I'm so excited that it's going to be able to be reused. It's in the prime real estate in the middle of campus, you know, so why not use it in this wonderful space?